So let's get started. A couple of announcements. First, the most important announcement is please go to my channel and make sure your subscriber bell is on. What is that? It's the thingy with the thingy. So it's the thingy beside where it says subscribed. Click on the bell, make sure it's on all. You'll get notifications for everything that I do. Second thing is the community challenge. 2 community challenges running at the moment. Are you bored? Do you not know what to do with your time? Are you still on lockdown? Are you no longer on lockdown, but now you're just back to your usual introvertedness? No other excuse other than your introvertedness. Would you like to have a workplace environment feel to the next project that you do? Are you interested in doing commissions but don't know where to get started and how to build a portfolio? Well, Istebrak's community is right for you. Go to istebrak.com right here and click on the Reddit icon. It will take you to my Reddit, my subreddit, which is right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to read through both of these. You have no choice. You're going to click on the first one. You're going to grab that hand. You're going to put it on the mouse. And you're going to click on the first one. And you're going to read through it, right? Because I poured my heart and love and soul into this little short story I wrote for you guys. It's really exciting. I promise you'll have fun. If you're interested in doing an environment challenge, please feel free to join. I don't know if Sophie is with us, but she is one of the winners of the last challenge. She won some, I'm not sure if this will be a contest. If it is, I'll let you guys know. But I turned the last one into a contest, and the winner got portfolio review sessions with me, private one-on-one sessions. And we've been going through all of her portfolio pieces and fixing them and going through the major fundamental issues that she has, diagnosing them with a fine-tooth comb. So the winners, if I do host winners, might get that opportunity as well towards the end of the summer when these contests close or challenges. So the second one is a community creative writing challenge. So this isn't for art, it's for writing. So those of us who are great writers, please send in some of your short stories, and I will pick one, and the community might also help me pick one. And we will read through them and see which one is going to be the theme of our next challenge after the environment, alien environment challenge. The one after that will be the community creative writing challenge. So this is up and running. It will be up and running for 2 months, give or take, and it will be what we work with, and we might end up working with all of them at the end. Any other announcements? Portrait Studio is going to be on sale very soon. So you might want to hold off on buying it if you are interested in buying it, because it is it's at full price at the moment. It's gone down over the years, as I've promised you guys, but it will go back down to $45 at the start of June. And towards June, I will take a break for, just like a birthday off, week off for hiking and whatever break. I might not even do anything, but it's just a little mental break since I've been overclocking my brain. Like every time I take a vacation, we're talking like maybe 1-2 weeks, and that's how long the sale will last. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe all of the summer, whatever I'm feeling, whatever's in the air. And that's it. Let's get started. All right, so this piece has got potential because look at that sword. Look at the rendering on that sword. Look at that armor. There are some issues. The issues are that you are not seaming the anatomy of this horned creature in with the human anatomy quite like you should. And I have a feeling that you intentionally made those 2 horns asymmetrical because the character is unique in some way. But presentation is really dry. The presentation is, it leaves a lot to be desired. And they're very simple changes. I'm sorry, I'm just going to clear my throat 1 second. Okay. So one of the most important changes, I'll do all the lighting and staging changes at the end since the lasso will be consistent, but one of the most important changes to make is the horns. Look at the horns. The horns just pop right out of the head. Don't make your characters who are fantastical creatures from a D&D campaign creatures from a far and distant planet, you know, that we will never understand, or from the past, or a magical creature imbued with magical powers, or a djinn, or something we've never seen. Don't make them look like they're wearing cosplay, because cosplay is also very dry feeling. You know what I mean by dry? As good as a cosplay it'll be. So think of like the best cosplay you've ever seen. Something is very dry about it. Something is very realistic about it, and kind of kills the character, because the human scale is still there. The sizes, you know, head size related to shoulder size, arm size. You very rarely get, obviously you never get cartoon scale head to body ratio with humans. Maybe with children cosplaying, you might get away with some human, like if you were Anna and Elsa cosplaying a 15 and 8-year-old, you might get away with that, because they actually just look like humans. Those characters are just human people. But when we're talking about characters with horns, I don't want to hear that excuse, oh, it's just my favorite, it's just the character, that's just how the character looks. No, that's how the character looks within the scope of your skill, which is lacking when it comes to marrying anatomy of another creature with human anatomy and character design in general. Of course, this is how you intended it to look, but there was a mistake in your intentions. Even if it's a personal D&D character, that shouldn't be any reason to deny critique, because it being personal should be even more of an incentive to want to make this look as realistic and awesome as possible. As powerful. So let's make some changes. The horns are the first thing. The second thing is the hair. This is a hair style that I would say a guy would pick. If you got a guy who's never cut hair before, and this girl was in desperate need of a haircut, and you asked him, hey, can you cut my hair? And he just cut your hair. This is what happens. When a guy has zero experience with beauty or aesthetics in any way, has never cut someone's hair or done makeup or picked an outfit, this is how a straight guy cuts hair. This is how a straight guy styles hair. It's it's not going anywhere. And let's say that fine, this character isn't so awesome with their hair, isn't crazy about their hair, but you're a character artist and a designer. You're not going to just let the hair sit like that for no reason. This is very awkward, super symmetrical, cut clean at the bottom, shapes her head in a really awkward way, super low hairline at the forehead, at the crown, and then those barely any space for the horns. That's why, if anybody was wondering why this character looks so awkward, this is why. So these are the things I'm going to be changing. I'm going to be enlarging the canvas just so I can have some room, but I'm going to recrop it. All right, so what do I do? So I'm going to first change the perspective on the head. But I'm going to first get rid of the horns. Excuse me. You guys keep saying I'm in a good mood today, but actually I'm in like a terrible mood. It's just I get really happy when Critique Hour starts. And I haven't been doing Tuesdays because I've just been super busy. So it's just so nice being back, because it's like a high for me. Teaching, it's just super chill. There's no pressure, and it's just all art and fun, which is everything I love. So, yep. All right, so let's get back. I always put a transition in there, and sometimes I run out of thoughts, and I'm just like hovering. All right. So a quick little thing. If you don't know what's going on in Palestine, please Google it. Please go ahead and Google your ass over to Google and look at what's happening in Palestine. Please take a look and educate yourself a little bit about world news. See what's going on. I can't just be here, teaching you guys without directing you towards common day Game of Thrones situations and tyranny. Alrighty, so I got rid of the horns. Let's deal with the head just on its own. Before we bring the horns in, let's deal with the head shape and the perspective there. So filter, liquefy. I'm going to make her tilt her head a little bit. The reason I'm doing this is because she looks like she's extremely proud of her sword, her strength, her merit. She seems like a character who has worked very, very hard to get where she is. And so to raise her forehead size and to lower her face along towards the chin, we're tilting her head down, and that there's a pride there. So you could go basic bitch and you could raise her chin up and have her looking down at us, but that too often in art starts to look a little snobby. So like a snobby knight, but a proud, strong knight, a humble almost knight, would lower their head down because the wisdom comes first. That's why we see the forehead first. If the wisdom comes last and it's just pride, we see the chin stick out. This is acting knowledge. This is how, I mean, I was never really into acting that much, but I do observe while looking at, while watching movies and looking how good actors act, bad actors act. There's different ways of having pride visible in a painting, in a scene. And so I want to do this as if the character or the actor who's acting her is doing a good job of their acting. All right, and so I'm going to tilt her nose down for the perspective. Yes, few people are mentioning what's happening in Palestine, and I'm just shocked because it is an absolute. It's an apartheid. It's actual ethnic cleansing. People are being killed. Students are being stopped from going to schools. People are being bombed on the basis of some terrorist group that we could hardly put on a map anywhere. I don't feel like whatever the bad side is doing on either is justified enough to be killing children. It just seems so vengeful, so petty, and they're punishing the wrong people. If they knew where Hamas was stationed, why not send ground troops in to take care of neutralize the threats? Why bomb? It just seems like they're taking any chance they get to get rid of more Palestinian people and take Israel once and for all. Even the lands that are Palestine is a recognized state by the UN, and I don't want to get too deep into the politics of it, but again, please have a look at what's happening. And for those who know what's happening and are under a lot of stress, as I am, who are feeling this restlessness about where's the justice, where's the change, just remember this. Remember this. Whenever you are upset, these old farts who are running the world will one day die. All right? One day they're going to die. And guess who's going to inherit it? The Gen Xers, or whatever they're called, the Gen Zs, what do you guys call you kids nowadays? The millennials will inherit the earth. The people who have lived in the full information overload of the internet. No information is hidden. We now know, what news channels are pretending, what news channels are actually telling the truth, because the internet is so pure in its raw ability to provide information. Nothing can be hidden. So just remember, one day all these boomers making all these terrible policies and the stopping voting rights, all the crap happening in the United States, across the globe, it's mostly old people and their old ways and their warmongering, and I promise you one day they will pass and we will inherit the earth, and there's nothing they can do about it. What are they going to do, run policies from the grave? No. They're going to try to indoctrinate whoever they can in the process, but I promise you, we smarty pants, we're going to inherit the earth, and things will get better with time, as they always have been. Look back to the Middle Ages and then compare it to now. Everything is different, and that's just because of the passage of time. So believe in that, have faith in that. Don't let your stress take over you, because a lot of what's happening in the Middle East is creating real stress in people. And we just got over pandemic fatigue. We just got over a pandemic stress. So remember, take it easy on yourself. Take that information I told you to go find, but keep it at the door. Keep it at the gate. Don't let it get personal. Don't shake with anger. Don't, you can pray. You can do something that'll help you. But don't feel like you are responsible for changing the world. The universe will manage it, will organize it for us. One day we'll see something different. We'll see something change. So let's take a look at just what this liquefy has done. So before, kind of looked like like a lollipop kid, like a Pez dispenser. You had equal sizes on all sides. The head was equal here. There was nothing flattering about this character. And after, she's kind of tilting her head down. And what's this space for? For the horns that I'm going to be bringing in. All right, these horns, they're horns. Make them horny. Make them strong. Oh God, that was terrible. Make them horn-like. It's unbelievable how, you know, you guys pick the most epic shit sometimes. And you keep it small. How you guys forget about scale. Do you guys know what scale is? Scale is size. Scale is that this is important and I'm making it bigger because it's important. You guys forget how powerful that is in cartooning and sketching and all of that. It's really important. And yes, even if you designed the character initially to have small horns, oh, I intended for her to have small horns. No, make them bigger because that's bad design. You're not providing the viewer with what they need to see in order to be convinced that this is a character that is important, a character that is unique because of their horns. Do you understand? Okay. So, the current problems go back very far, though. No, they don't. It's been 70 years of war in that particular region. We're not talking about all of the Middle East. So please don't do that kind of language where you're you know, where you're dismissing what's happening in the Middle East by calling it a conflict, because it's not, or it's been around for a long time. That's propaganda. It's a very young conflict, and there needs to be a resolution so both sides find peace, both sides get what they want without murdering Palestinians anymore. All right. So we fixed that. Then I'm going to fix the lighting really quickly. This is going to be the biggest change. This change right here is going to be what really dramatizes the whole piece, and I'll show you why. Okay. All right, and then we've got this piece here. So what I'm doing now is what any movie director would do when presented with a shot like this, that they have to, you know, they have to shoot. They have to, like, it could be an interrogation. It could be, let's think of a practical way we're reusing this, because this is bad framing when it comes to character design. Really bad framing if you were trying to just choose a simple way to present the character. If you just wanted to show what your character looks like, you could have just had a standing character design, right? But you went a bit further and made a scene out of it. Whenever you think scene, you think cinema. Can anyone answer why? Why should you think cinema when you think scene? It's pretty obvious, but just so that everyone can get the answer. Size does matter, yes, absolutely. I'm waiting for the answer from you guys. I think new generations will have problems of their own, but I don't think they will. You just, again, you have to compare it to how we've evolved as a species, how technology has made us more merciful to each other, more aware of each other, how we have learned our capabilities, more self-aware. I think in the positive version, I think that we have actually learned a lot as human beings. We don't burn people at the stake anymore for being different. You know, at least we don't do that as a collective. Religion has been severed from science. Women are leading experts as much as men are. Children have rights. Children no longer are part of the labor force. Like, we've improved so much in so many ways. Yes, there's fighting, but wars are less than ever if you think about it in comparison to the trend of humanity in history. So I think truly all of these conflicts are the last little sprinkles of disease and of human hearts, you know, left behind from old wars and old age and old mentality and old, my land is here, you can't touch my land, even though it was your land before I got there. But anyway, I think a lot is going to change, and a lot is going to shift very, very soon, especially because of the internet. You know, I say God bless Instagram, God bless Twitter, God bless whatever the hell is out there sharing news so rapidly like wildfire, because there's nobody can get away with anything anymore. And I love that. I love that everyone's under scrutiny. A scene is a moment in a story. If the framing is bad, then the whole scene is worse. Better lighting situations in cinema, framing the scene character. Excellent, Alexandra. Cinema work. Yes. Camera work. Scene, lighting, environment. Beautiful. I just wanted to hear the word cinema and camera. So if this was a scene from a movie and we were looking at the character, what we're gonna have to do is frame it in such a way where the character has a little bit more mystery to them. So I'm going to increase the lighting behind them. The character, you guys know what I do usually with light environment, is I pick a really strong, kind of like a dark value. In this case, I'm going to go with grays. And I'm going to just throw the character in a silhouette. It's not so much that, I'm losing the character, but they're still going to be there. And then what I'm going to do is select inverse and then just strengthen that light behind them. It's kind of like an intro scene or some kind of low lit white room, the kind of room that you get interrogated in, something that I see this way. It's probably just a flashback or an intro to the character. This is what I see when thinking about changing the way we're seeing the character. We want to see a little bit less of them because it seems like they are this powerful giant thing, and we shouldn't be seeing all of them like that. And another thing that we could do on top is to just select inverse, color. And about that comment that not a lot of people are talking about what's happening in Palestine, I disagree. I think a lot of people are talking about it more than ever. A lot of people are more free to talk about it in the logic of it and exactly what's happening. They've got footage. Everyone's got a phone nowadays. Back in the 90s, when it was at its worst, where hundreds and thousands of Palestinians were dying every time there was a bombing. Before the UN got involved, before ceasefires even were a thing. There were no cameras everywhere. There were just a couple of journalists getting caught in the crossfire. Some died, some videos made it through. Everybody's got a phone now. And I think that more people than ever have ever known about it. I have students from Brazil asking me, what is this? What's going on? And then they start sending me videos about what's happening. And yes, everyone is wisening up to what's happening and realizing what's happening finally once and for all. And I'm so proud to be living in this moment where children, I call them children still, 25 and younger, you're really still a kid. They're coming to me and they're giving me this information about what's happening in Palestine. And I'm just amazed. My jaw's dropping because we weren't even allowed to talk about Palestine in school. Growing up in elementary school, you couldn't even say it. And it was weird because I remember distinctly a time in my childhood, just a tangent here, where maps stopped saying Palestine and started saying Israel. And I used to ask my teacher, I memorized the map and there was Palestine here. She's like, no, that's Israel. That's called Israel. And it was so weird how that happened. It's so weird how that memory is just floating around in my mind. See, I remember seeing a map of the earth that had the word Palestine over that region. And I just hope, I hope it continues. This trend keeps moving and the momentum is picked up. And if it dies down, it'll pick up again, because you don't just take people, you don't just treat people like that. Yeah, so I think more people than ever are wisening up to what's happening. So now what I'm going to do is just do a little bit more for the characters. So what I feel like we should do is just think about what kind of lighting we could bring in. Just around here somewhere, and I feel like a really, really strong point light of some kind. A rim light would go a long way. And it could also be a light coming from above as well. Kind of like a silhouette spotlight combo that we could do on the character. So let me get my lasso back. So have faith, you guys, have faith. And remember, reduce stress. Yes, we're supposed to care about world events and worry about people dying, across the globe, but at the same time, it's not supposed to be damaging our health, especially considering what we just went through with this pandemic. All right, so what I'm going to be doing is just climbing right out of the shadow here and a new layer, as if the spotlight is right above her. So and then we're gonna have some shadows for the horns. And I think you can't really draw horns without adding shadows. Do you know what I mean? Like those long shadows that you see on those Hellboy covers. And I'm just trying to figure out the structure here. And for the record, if you are a student who's tuning in from Israel, my war isn't with you. The war that's being waged on Israel isn't being waged against you. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the policy, the politics, the war mongers. Nobody asked you. If somebody asked you, hey, do you guys want to bomb the other side? You'd have said no. I'm not saying you're evil. I'm not saying you're the one, you're of the ones who said yes, let's bomb some children, let's kill some children. I know it's not your fault. I know you don't choose where you're born. I know you don't choose what your forefathers did. And it's, you know what, it's even not your responsibility to choose how to fix what your forefathers did. Because no, I'm not even going to ask you, go fix what your forefathers did. I'm not going to say, oh, it's our responsibility to fix what they did. No, even that is not right to say. What isn't right, though, is to not come to terms with the reality. I think that's unfair, and it's not just, and it's not, because I'm a Semite, I'm a Muslim, I'm from where you're from. We have the same traditions. It's not a question of religion, because you're never going to find two religions that are so similar as Judaism and Islam. It's politics, it's money, it's the Middle East, it's control over the other side of Iraq, which is like the next target, because it's just globalism, and it's not your fault. It never will be. Please keep drawing. Please keep working on your art. It's not, I'm not demonizing you. Just because the Israeli flag is something that you're under does not mean you are a killer or a murderer or something like that. The people who are killing are the people who held the gun and just decided to shoot, or held the button for the missile and decided to send it and kill a bunch of people on both sides, actually. So murderers are murderers, not the children of murderers, not the fathers of murderers. If that was the case, then every murderer, we'd have sent their parents to jail too, right? But all I want to know is just, that people are allowed to ask questions, and I want to know that you are asking questions. Ask questions. You most likely will get the answer you're supposed to hear for your end, but maybe sometimes you'll get a different answer that'll make you think. Ask questions. That's when life ends, when curiosity stops. So just ask questions about what's happening on the other side. Why are they being treated like animals? Why don't they have a right to education and sports for youth and opportunities? What's going on? Why are we doing this to them? Why is this happening to them? Etc., etc. Just ask questions. That's it. And the answer will reveal itself. Right? So all my students from Israel, I love you, and I don't have anything against you. I have something against Netanyahu, absolutely criminal, and he also defrauded his own country and stole money, so there's that. He's just a bad person, and that's who I have a problem with. Same way I had a big problem with Trump. Men like that, those old dirty fart boomers, they are gonna go very soon, inshallah. They're gonna go, and we're never gonna hear from them again. And they're gonna destroy a lot of the earth before they leave, for sure, but we'll clean it up, we'll fix it. And the information around the earth right now that's spreading like wildfire is gonna do the rest. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just rendering around the face, providing a little bit more information, let's say. So I added a little bit of detail around the nose. I'm gonna work on the eyes in a second. You see how it all started off with one big change. What was it? Can anybody tell me what that big change that got the ball rolling? So again, the corrections I do are a reflection of what you should be doing in preparation. All right. So what were the corrections I did that got the ball rolling? I've heard about the Kashmir and what's happening to them, actually. I've heard about it. lighting, that or the horn size. Yep, so the lighting as well as the horn size. So tilting the head down created this attitude that she has. That attitude changed the lighting, and the lighting reflected the attitude, of course. And then now finally what's going to happen is we're just going to continue rendering, making things look a little bit more dramatic, keep bringing in that spotlight from above, seeing how far we can push it and moving forward. Okay, so then I'm going to get the right here. And the crazy thing about this entire conflict is that we've got people who used to criticize the state of Israel, used to be called anti-Semites. So what's happening now, I'm not an anti-Semite by any stretch of the imagination, but what's happening now is that, again, with that whole everyone's got a phone, everyone can see what's going on, no one can really disprove what you yourself are doing if you're being caught on a camera doing it, right? So that it's so you're just fighting footage at this point. So it's you know, it's no longer a question of who's Semitic, who's anti-Semitic, who's pro-Semitic or whatever. It's just the proof is in the footage. So I'm building up the radial shading, building up the armor. The armor felt flat because it wasn't really built up with, it just had sheen and texture. We were missing a couple layers for realism there, which are the core shadows. But don't take my word for it only. Look it up, and I'm not going to go into obviously detail of what's happening there because sometimes it's a bit graphic, and I don't want to get too passionate about it because then I'm probably going to start crying on the freaking class. But yeah, do your own research, Google it, get some basic terminology. There's so many people who've broken down the conflict so beautifully, discussed, not the conflict, I shouldn't call it that, discussed what's going on, etc. So please feel free to go through and find those videos. Very, very friendly, unbiased sources, not directing hate or anything towards anyone's side. Beautifully, eloquently put, way better than anything I've said so far about what's happening in the Middle East, in Palestine. You know, from John Oliver to freaking Stephen Colbert to who's that other guy? Stephen Colbert's best friend. The others is it Stephen? The other one, the really funny one. The one who's always helping veterans in 9/11. He's discussed it. There's so many people, celebrities and non-celebrities alike, who've broken down the conflict for everyone to non-conflict occupation for everyone to understand, because that's what it is. And yeah, we need to start using the right terminology. And you know, funny enough, you know, the weird thing is that both in Islam and in Judaism, Israel is the right title for all of this. We both say the word Israel. In the Quran, there's a term for, you know, for the Israelites. So like it's crazy how it's a non-religious problem. It has nothing to do with religion. So the sword is catching a little bit of light right here. And what's happening is that we want to show how the sword is on its own. So you got to give me a second here to lasso the sword, because you have almost no contrast. And what's happening is that the sword doesn't read as a sword. It just reads as part of the armor. So what I'm going to do is just amp up using dodge tool. I'm just going to amp up what's happening. Yes, I'm Arabic. I'm from Iraq. I have extensive experience of the damage the United States and foreign intervention has done to the Arabic family, to the Arab family, and I'm well versed in the quarrels of the Middle East. Personally, because I've been a refugee from the Gulf War, and non-personally, just from here, living in the West, watching the Middle East deal with one tyrant after the other. It's crazy how quickly the United States mobilized against ISIS, but, you know, oh yeah, let's save the Arabs, let's save the Muslims, let's save everybody. But where's the United States right now in dealing with this? People are getting bombed, but the truth will out. It has outed. All right. It's okay. Our blood is not cheap like water. Our blood has value to it too, just as much as yours does. And there will be justice one day. Not today, tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to delete at wherever I have shadows on the sword, and I'm just going to go ham on this. Remember last session? I'm going to get really controversial. I've been pretty controversial all class, actually. But even more controversial. Controversial with art now. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm going to get the white, and I'm going to let this sword kind of catch most of the light. And that's what you were missing, is the depth, the separation, the space between the sword and the girl. This sword is hella important. The sword's got some value to it. So, you know, show that. Show how the light is being shown on. Again, if you were a movie director, wouldn't you shine an extra little dedicated? Wouldn't you go to the lighting guy and ask him, hey, shine some extra light on the sword. Make it stand out a bit, right? Just like that. Just catching some light. Just on either side. Really just drowning in light. And there will be the main cylindrical shadow of the silhouette running down the sword, just like that, with the light kind of coming from above. And the bottom of the sword, a little bit more contrast for the, what's it called again? The hilt? No, is it the hilt? What's this part called? This part is called, shit. I used to know this stuff. I used to be a Lord of the Rings nerd. I made it my business to know everything there is to know about a sword. Oopsie. So I'm going to use the burn tool on shadows just to amp up that contrast once again. And then just anything underneath here. Lay it hum. Hilt is the whole guard and pommel. Yes, pommel. Yes, that's the word. So right here, just bringing that out. And thank you so much, X20. You're so sweet. Thank you so much for the support. The palm will get some of that. And so where's all this light coming from? Can anyone guess the play-by-play? You know, based off the play-by-play, can you guys guess what I'm going to do next? So where's all this light coming from? So now we have almost 3 light sources. We have a light source on her. We have a special light coming just on the sword. And then we have the silhouette in the back. That's multiple light sources. That's how in a scene from a movie, which is why I stressed, you know, the topic of a scene, that's how they do it. So I'm going to save this lasso as well. Go back to this lasso. I've been a responsible girl. I've been saving my lasso. And I'm going to start strengthening using midtones on burn tool. Strengthening once again the shadow of the body, on the body. And let me see if, oh dang, I don't even know if I could do it. How do I combine lassos? There's a way, but I just don't remember. Oh, yes, I got it. Okay. No. Oh, right. Yes. Okay, so I got it. All right, we're good. So just behind the sword, on the chest plate. See how I'm creating a more voluminous response to the light source. Just over here, using dodge tool, just bringing it out so it has a bit more volume. And slowly, step by step, we're starting to reveal what's happening here on the armor, which is that it's getting light from top down along with that general silhouette. And I'm gonna zoom out and try to, on midtones, really just push back that armor, push back the face, and then I'll do the eyes, I promise. I know you guys are looking forward to that. And then just getting dodge tool and just continuing with this really strong response to the light source, just this way. So I'm just experimenting a bit. All right. So now what I'm going to do is just strengthen the eyes a little bit. They seem a bit dead, and honestly, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill the character to have a lash line. If you're into makeup, and I don't know who of you are, if you are, comment below. It's really hard to pull off a look where you have costume, especially like if you just have a look at Marvel or different ways they try to make purple characters work on screen. They almost always have really strong eyeshadow makeup. Just because it's not for the sake of beauty or glamour or something, it's for the fact that without it, there's no definition to the eye. And that's the problem here, is that there's not a lot of definition happening. So I'm gonna go to liquefy and just see what I can do in making the eyes feel a little bit more live, just more alert, kind of looking upward. She has very striking eyes, so one thing we can do towards the end, and it's just a little dramatization. It really doesn't need to be something that you have to put in your painting. But we could definitely make the face a little bit more magical by having some glow coming from the eyes. So because I'm going to bring the eyes back out of this kind of shadow, I'm going to allow that long horn shadow to finally just hit the face where it needs to. Okay. And that's going to be really nice, because write this back to me, a cast shadow is like jewelry. It really wakes up the character. When you have a cast shadow, it's like you're just bejeweling your illustration. It's delicious. So it's like a buffet. If it's gonna be delicious, the metaphor has to be food. Cast shadow is like a shawarma sandwich. Oh man. Cast shadow is like shawarma. If you've never had shawarma, please do yourself a favor. Go get yourself shawarma sandwiches. Alright, and so we did that. Let me try something. Let me duplicate this layer. Ooh, me like. Alright, so I'm gonna delete that up here. So that extra little bit of light coming from above is actually really nice. So both are 100%, so I can merge them down now. And I'm going to darken the eyes so they could fit into the eye socket the way they're supposed to. And then finally, I'm going to color correct and just try to make something happen as a total, as a collective. So let's merge down. Let's start merging. Oops. Touch tool, please. All right, so the color you chose, I am just adding to it. And there's more. I'm being actually super cautious. There is so much more we could be doing. Oh, it's frozen. There we go. There is so much more we could be doing. So I'm just gonna flatten, save, and then Control Z. Basically, we could really, really push the levels. So I'm going to select the sword, select inverse, and push those levels down. Oops, and I want to select outside of that as well. Yep, and I'm going to just push those levels down. Oopsie. All right. Really just trying to, because pushing the levels too much makes it look dirty. So you want to be careful. You want to just do a very elegant job of that. And I need to do the rest of the cast shadow on the other side of the horns. And the horns really do have, you know, not enough presence at the moment. So I just don't want to change her hair color. I know her hair color's changed in the process. So feel free to go back and try to fix that with your correction. But for the most part, I just want to make sure that the lighting is prioritized in the critique. And we'll be done. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just start correcting some of the messes I left behind. And select inverse, and from a distance you can see how far away I am, and there's really no better way to assess how much you need to do other than zooming out, because it'll reveal whether or not your range is good enough, if it's strong enough, if it's dramatic enough. So I'm going to trust what the navigator is telling me from this distance. And then finally we will reach the point where we could really throw in that spotlight, which is the question I asked earlier that I forgot to check the answers for. I'm so sorry. There's a little shadow coming off the little wing of that shoulder pad, and then a couple more highlighters here and there. I'm not going to critique the armor. It looks like skin is all I can say. And then I'm going to get the sword and then see what I can do from a distance for the sword. And then we can do two things with the background. We could darken it. Oh, even that looks good. Darken it and bring in a spotlight, which also looks wonderful. So let me show you. And I'm going to use my little handy dandy brush, or you could brighten it and bring in the spot. I'm just going to go for this because I'm running out of time. Where's the one I used last time? That really good one without texture. All right, perfect. So this is just a brush pack I built from like many different brushes from many different artists across history, across time and space. And it's what I used when I was doing freelancing back in the day. All right, so what I'm doing right now is just deciding on where I'm going to put this. You see, it's just a really simple brush, but it spares me the time and energy of having to deal with painting it myself. So I'm going to have 2 layers of it. One is going to go behind the señorita. And so I go here and I delete. One is going to go in front of the little sword. And I'm not going to try to, you know, have them contesting. I'm going to try to just like soften it, you know, breaking some rules, just like softening. And then I'm going to delete. I might put it behind the sword. I'm really not sure because I already rendered the sword, right? So let me put it behind the sword. All right, yep, that works. So now we have 3 levels. We got a lot of levels. Let's go through them. We've got 1 level in the background. Right? It's a light environment. See how we, even when we darkened it, just went back to being lighter. We have 1 level in the foreground. Background silhouette on the character. Indirect universal light source spotlight type deal on the character. Direct spotlight on the sword. So silhouette is first light source, second light source on the head, third light source on the character. So you got like 3 different light sources. Maybe 4 because the highlights on the armor are also pretty strong. So you got a lot going on, but that's the best scenes are like that, because when you have lots of elements, you're gonna have to justify all the elements. So that's, you know, that's one way to organize it, is just to base each element off the subject it's supposed to immortalize, it's supposed to bring to life. So the other option of lightening the background works as well. Let me just see if I can quickly show it to you guys for the sake of demonstration. Select inverse. It works as well because now you have just like a silhouette, kind of like a room. It kind of feels like a bright room. And you can go all the way dark if you want to as well. Kind of looks like a Skyrim loading scene. Sorry about the rough critique because I feel like I still didn't really do a lot. I made her haircut a little bit less Napoleon Dynamite. You know what I mean by Napoleon Dynamite? It just looked so basic before. It looked like intentionally ridiculous looking, and that's not just to make fun of you or say that you were intentionally picking something ridiculous. But when you have a character that looks like cartoon hairstyle, do you know what I mean? So it looks like a character from Bob's Burgers, you know? Or that one show, Dilbert. That's just what it felt. This all was the same size. It was all equal. What I did was I gave her face a bit more angularity and made her hair hug her face a little bit better. It looked more sporty. It looked like a real style, and I gave her forehead space. And the horns, man, you could really just keep going with them. You don't have to stop there at all. You could keep going. One thing that is missing that I'm not quite getting is the amount of contrast we really need. So I can see it when I zoom out, and I'll show you in a second. Lots of jumping around between lasso though. Pain in the dongus, man. For some reason it's not letting me. All right, now it is. Because this type of lighting scenario, what ends up happening is shadows, 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 shadows. There are shadows everywhere. So you gotta be careful not to let things look too exposed, because at one point or another, you're gonna have to go and lose a lot to the shadows. And one thing that is indicative of a student who's just, you know, early in their journey is that they just show everything. And it's actually like across the board, you know, anytime you get more mature, you in any field, you show less, you do less. Fashion designers have less, you know, pretty flowers on everything. They start being a bit more concrete with their design choices. Movie makers start making things a little bit more realistic and less ridiculous looking. Anywhere you go, when you get more mature as a designer, you start showing less. You start doing less cheesy stuff, less colors, things look a little bit more filtered, with like this blue tone, and look a little bit less like entertainment for children, let's say. So when we're showing so much, and you'll see in the before how it looks like we're just seeing too much, you'll start to understand what I mean. Is that there was just too much visible. Then there's a glare coming off the sword. The change is going to be quite big. Let me merge things down and call it a day. Alright, so flatten. Okay, these are just my lassos here. Do I have anything in these folders? Alright. So one more thing I want to do is just fix her silhouette a little. Which is just by kind of pushing the shadows behind her, because I can't forget that there was a base silhouette under all of this, and then I'll do a collective kind of leveling of everything at the end. There's still a lot left to do with this silhouette. There's still so much. Like I mean with the spotlight on her, like I want to do something like that. It's a bit strong, you know, especially for a demonstration to have that much white visible, but if it was my painting, I really would go for the white, just because she feels more like she's, you know, as important as you made her seem. But let's just stick to that for now. And then one more thing I want to try is just, as I mentioned before, I want to darken her face a little bit, not to make her seem evil or anything, but just to bring the sword to the front of the story. And then from there, I'm going to she just looks powerful. Do you know what I mean? I'm just gonna give her some kind of glow, which will help her character feel a little bit more important. So she comes back to the foreground. Not so much to contest the sword, but she is still very much part of the focal point, right? But she's now, you know, respecting the light environment around her. She's not completely visible. Some things I want to fix, just so it doesn't look like just basic shapes for the eyes. I'm just going to blend in some of these areas, so it looks a little more realistic. Just blending away the corners that you had, really, just to make the eyes a little more interesting. And in the after I lay down the after, I think I'm going to go in and try to change the eye color, just to see what options we have for something that'll break the monochromatic feel. Okay, so before. Okay, so yes, very much different. I don't hear anything. Lighting made it look so 3D. Yes, because we created tears. And after. Okay, so now she looks like the sword is very important. Something's happening here that's prevalent in some way. She is this you know, very beloved character. A lot of people are drawing their D&D campaign characters. Actually, I don't think I can before and after in the usual way. So before, after. And as for the color I intended to add, going to my handy dandy blue. Honestly, don't think we need it. We might actually, I want to stay true to the artist and their D&D characters, so I'm going to try to pick a golden color. And talk to me, the artist who's behind this piece. Message, talk on the comments below. Let's hear what you have to say about these changes. Do you feel like I stayed true to the character? Did you think that maybe I changed too much? Do you like me, yes or no? Right, just a bit of extra saturation. And I'm going to fix the light on the nose, because that got darkened somehow with an eraser brush or something. Darkened that. See? Kind of just giving her a little highlight on her nose there. And then just pushing it up into the forehead. Just polishing, really. Just seeing how far we could go with pushing the light along the nose bridge. And then just blending it out. Am I on the wrong layer or something? Oh, right. I'm gonna smudge if it's... kind of fiddling with it too much at this point, but that nose is bothering me, so I just want to make sure it is perfect. It just needs to be pinched at the top. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm just going to leave the nose as it is. At the end of the day, she doesn't have to have a very high nose. It can just be the nose tip that's catching light, if that's what you want to do. But yes, before, see the head and the hair and the forehead and the horns and that whole just no characterization, almost zero characterization in the head shape. But damn, that work on the sword was just phenomenal. Better than the shit I have patience for when I'm illustrating, if I ever illustrate. So, you know, I know you can do it. Look at what you did here. I know you just push your design, you know, muscles just a bit further. I know it hurts, but try to think about hairstyle. Try to think about marrying anatomy, animal anatomy with human anatomy, seeing what you can combine. Nothing is worse than when you have a character that's supposed to be half a lion and it looks so derpy and so weird and furry. So, yeah. Oh, you are here, Arakazi. Yes, I love it. Gonna go back to that piece and try to fix it after the stream. Thank you. You're very welcome. That's a place for you to start, is design. Go to, not Pinterest, fuck Pinterest, but Pinterest is the devil. Go to just Google, try to find, I mean, Pinterest is great if you know how to use it, but I'm old, I don't know how to use it. But go somewhere where you can find hairstyles first that match your character and then do the drawing. And when it comes to the red skin, did we really need that much saturation and visibility to the skin? Did we really need to see this much? Lighting isn't hard to do when you start thinking about cinema. Write that back to me. Hey, Istebrak, I'm not that good with lighting. Watch movies and take notes. That's the answer. That's it. Hey, I have diabetes. Take insulin. I think. That's the answer. The disease and the cure. All right, or the medicine or management. I broke my leg. Go to the hospital and they're gonna put a cast on it. I don't know how to do lighting. I don't know how to add dramatic lighting. Watch movies and take notes. That's the medicine. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know how to fix it. Go find a movie scene, or you'll go on a YouTube binge, movie clip binge, starting with Batman Begins and just keep going. Just see whatever's recommended. Keep recommended on and just have fun with it. Sit down one day on your couch and just don't call it research, because then you're going to think it's work. You're always going to go back to your couch and watch Netflix. Take some notes in your mental notes. It doesn't have to be physical notes of what looks good, what looks decent, and I want that for my painting. So what is that? Is that a silhouette? There's only so many kinds. Is that a silhouette? Is that a spotlight? Is that a close-up? Is that a long shot? Is that a, what kind of time of day is it? What is the light environment and why? How many light sources are happening and why? What do I feel when looking at the scene versus another scene? You start to pick up really, really obvious patterns, and you can bring them back to your painting. So your paintings like explode with quality and detail, and you start understanding things a bit better. Ask your doctor if Istebrak is right for you. Please don't take my medical advice. Though yes, please go to the hospital if you don't feel good. Drawing light isn't hard when you got a cinema card. Hey! Watch how the movies do the lighting and implement it in your paintings. Excellent. Lighting isn't hard when you think of it like cinema. Beautiful. Thank you everyone for coming. If today's discussion about Palestine offended you, I'm sorry it offended you. But these are the facts that are happening at the moment. People are outraged about nothing. We're not just pretending. We're not just pretending something's going on. Something's going on. Something's going on. Please Google it so you find out what's going on in Palestine right now. And why people are demonstrating, why people across the globe, Muslim, non-Muslim, Arab, non-Arab, are outraged at what's happening in Palestine. So please educate yourself. That's all I ask. Ask questions. That's all I want from you. If I die tomorrow, my legacy is just ask questions. Always stay curious, because that's how you fix the world. When you get the facts, when you become critical, the world fixes itself, because it becomes populated with critical people, and bad guys get away with less, because bad guys always want as much as possible by giving as little as possible. And some people are violent about that, and they want more at a violent with a violent fervor. So ask questions always. That's the solution to figuring out what the hell we're gonna do with this earth that we all share. And I'm sorry if you're a student from Israel. I'm not targeting you. I never really said bad things about Israel as a nation, as a peoples. Or as as a religion, and the religion that's hosted there. I'm saying bad things about the Israeli government, about their corruption, and believe it or not, the Palestinian government, which wasn't even voted on, which kind of works with Israel for some reason. Palestinian government wasn't even voted for, by the way. So some weird crap is going on over there. From what I've come to know with my research, I'm not trying to spread misinformation, but I know that there are no voting. There is no voting happening in Palestine. That's something that was taken from them. So yeah, I please go and look at what's happening out there. That's all I'm asking you to do. Make the decisions of your own, on your own critical stream of thought. And just watch the videos. That's it. Don't read articles if you feel like you can't trust articles. Don't listen to hearsay if you can't listen to hearsay. You don't want to listen to me, don't listen to me. All I want you to do is go see the footage of what's happening. Go look at the numbers by trusted sources, non-Israeli, non-Palestinian, non-Muslim researchers and statistics around the globe, from the United Nations, everywhere. Just take a look at the numbers, and then come back to me with your decision. And maybe you'll take some time. Maybe you need a year to decide what the heck you're thinking about all of this. But you'll make a decision based off the facts, I hope. And that's all we have. That's us as the Arab people. As people, I share blood with the Palestinian people. That's all I can ask you to do. That's all we have left in our power. Everything else was taken away. Where I grew up is just demolished. Is just nothing in Iraq. It's just scrap. That's all it is. Where I was born, and that's all I can ask of you as a Middle Eastern all I can ask of you is just go look at the facts. Go look at the numbers, and get back to me with your thoughts. And that's it. Thank you everyone for coming. I will see you guys on my next stream. Hopefully next week I go back to 2 sessions a week. I'm just kind of taking it by ear and my health and my workload. And but I will see you guys next week. Thank you everyone for coming. To submit your work for Critique Hour, go to istebrak.com and click on the subreddit icon here. Join, read these 2 things, join, and submit your work. If you're not getting critiques, it's because you're not giving any. Let people get to know you, meet some people. Community is the backbone of your improvement. It's one of the ways you improve. Don't stay a secluded artist. People will help you improve. They'll give you ideas and fill your brain with more information and open your mind. And Portrait Studio will be on sale in the start of June. And please support me on Patreon if you're interested in giving back to the community. Even if you just join as $1, it is more than enough. I don't ask for more if you just want to support. Every other tier has educational content in exchange. But the support me, kind of just the main subscription for supporting is $1. If everybody joined, it's not a lot, but it's a lot if everyone is joining. Sorry, it's not a lot. It's $1 is not a lot, but if everyone's joining, it's a lot. So if you can just take some time and deal with the checkout for me and join as a watcher, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.